On the third gathering, which took place in October 2003, the participating organizations were represented quite a high level. From Human Rights Watch, the Executive Secretary, Mr. Kenneth Roth, Turkey reporter, Mr. Jonathan Sugden, experts John Cheta, Reed Brody, Libabaya, from International PEN, Mr. Terry Carbon, International Secretary, Secretary of Writers and Prison Committee, Sarah White, President of the Russian PEN, Alexander Tkachenko, Amnesty International's Turkey reporter, James Logan, and the three monitors, the recipients of Global Human Rights Defender Awards of Human Rights Watch, were there. Meena Seshu, from India, for her work on HIV/AIDS. Süleyman Gengen, a victim of torture from Chad, who was able to have the former dictator Hissène Habre tried at Belgium, and Şanar Yurdatapan for his work for freedom of expression in Turkey. And two other guests came from South Africa as a contribution of free muse from Denmark. A former singer, Mr. Roger Lucy, who had to give up singing due to the oppression and threats at the time of apartheid, and a policeman, Paul Erasmus, who was in charge of sabotaging whatever Roger tried to do. The guests were welcomed by Istanbul Central Municipality and invited to a dinner in a historical building at the Bosphorus. But poor Lucy and Erasmus were still hungry because they had to rush to CNN Turk television station for a live transmission of 45 minutes. Next morning, October 23rd, the guests were introduced to the public with a press conference. After separate visits to concerning NGOs and interviews with media, the three monitors of Human Rights Watch, Meena Seshu, Süleyman Gengen, and Şanar Yurdatapan, were on CNN Turk screen for a live transmission of half an hour. In the evening, Meena and Human Rights Watch expert Joanna Cheta were the guests of the forum titled HIV/AIDS, a Human Rights Issue, organized by the Association to Struggle Against HIV/AIDS. The main ceremony was at Bilgi University the next morning, October 24th, before the whole day-long forum titled The Amendments, What Did They Bring?, in which representatives of human rights NGOs, law institutions, academia, and state officials discussed the very fresh changes in legislation towards European Union participation and probable conclusions. But the guests had something else to do. They introduced the book titled Freedom of Thought, Volume 45, in which a banned statement took place, thus committed a new crime by republishing such a text right at the front gate of the State Security Court, and visited the prosecutor to present him a copy. In the evening, there was another forum at Bilgi University titled International Justice, which was organized by Amnesty International's Turkey section, and the guests were Süleyman Gengen and Human Rights Watch expert Reed Brody. The following morning, October 25th, there was a very original action. Two people coming from two different worlds, an atheist, composer Şanar Yurdatapan, and an Islamic writer and journalist, Abdurrahman Dilipak, started this movement with an appeal to the public titled Opposites Side by Side, aiming to bring people of different social groups together to solve common problems. The action had a name which told itself, "Your problem is our problem." The action started with a press conference at Istanbul branch of the Human Rights Association. The subjects were good amendments but bad implementation, and oppression on the other, oppression on minorities and discrimination on different sexual identities. The representatives of NGOs in this press conference joined the group, and they went to the next station altogether. Mesopotamian Cultural Center, is a Kurdish cultural institution which is the subject of heavy oppression by the police very often. But the first subject of this press conference was somebody else's problem, the headscarf issue, and the parallel between the problems the Kurdish and Islamic face at high schools and universities, either because of the headscarves or having given a petition demanding that Kurdish to be accepted as an optional lesson. Many students lost their chance and right to educate because of those reasons. At the end, a teacher from Kurdish Institute gave a symbolic Kurdish course as a protest to the ongoing bans and obstructions. The guests said, "Sos pas," to the teacher, thanking for the new words they learned. The third station was Mazlumdar, an institution established by Islamic human rights defenders. Naturally, the oppression on the right of conscience was discussed here too, but the basic subject of this press conference was again somebody else's problem. The ongoing cases against the book titled 12th of September on Trial and its publisher Ragıp Zarakolu. 12 September 1980 is the date of the military takeover in Turkey, and Zarakolu is the honor president of Turkish Publishers Union. The growing snowball proceeded to the last station, TGTV, the umbrella organization of Islamic associations and foundations. Kenneth Roth, the executive secretary of Human Rights Watch, who just arrived to Istanbul, joined the group here and gave detailed information about the activities of his organization in a statement following the press conference of TGTV about the oppression and obstructions on the right to assembly and free demonstration. The action ended with a family photo in which all the people from different countries, races, nationalities, beliefs, and social groups came side by side in the same frame. In the evening, Roger Lucy and Paul Erasmus were the guests of the forum titled Stopping the Music, organized by SSS, Stop Censorship on Arts Initiative, and Self-Determinative Council of Arts.
Look around for the traces, all the signs they left behind. There's no one here who knows the faces, like a world that just went blind.
Artists struggling with similar operations took part in this colorful forum. Colorful, of course, when you have a lot to say with music. On 26 October, Sunday morning, the guests were beside the Bosphorus for a short while to take some fresh air before moving to the invitation of Esenyurt municipality. In Armada Hotel, first there was a ceremonial meeting of Human Rights Watch to honor the 3 monitors with Global Human Rights Defender Awards.
Human Rights Watch works in about 70 countries around the world. In each of those countries, Human Rights Watch has its own researcher who is responsible for investigating and reporting on human rights conditions. But these investigators could not do their work without a very close partnership with local human rights activists in each of those countries.
The International Secretary of PEN, Mr. Terry Carbon, and the President of Russian PEN, Alexander Tkachenko, had many beautiful things to say to the public.
International PEN is very, very pleased and honored to be part of this process and this ceremony today. We would like to extend our thanks to all who have been involved here, because we all have these overlapping interests in defending human rights, each in our own ways. Each of us, I believe, are necessary.
Жестокий мир, наш широко расставивший, гримаса боли.
Istanbul Central Municipality also honored the monitors and promised to host the gatherings in the following years. After the farewell lunch by the host of the meeting, the mayor of Esenyurt district, Mr. Gürbüz Çapan, the guests said goodbye with the hope of gathering here again next year.
El ele tutuşacağız o gün. We shall overcome. We shall free our minds. We shall free our minds.